bring your chosen one's spirits to life. The agreement is already in writing. The battle is already lost. They continue to resist the inevitable, nevertheless. An adversary that knows they can't win, but yet won't give up, is the most deadly thing there is. The Dark Coven is very enraged because of this. They have tried everything. You have been subjected to financial attacks, relational manipulation, demons, diversions, and distortions. They can't accomplish one thing, however, no matter how hard they try. Edit what has already been written for you. Here's a fact that will chill you to the bone. Researchers have shown that memories from our ancestors are stored in our DNA, preserving their talents, their concerns, and even their unfinished goals. Imagine this now. If the common people inherit that, how do you feel? Is the selected one carrying? Divine instructions are etched into your entire being, and they cannot be removed. That's why they're afraid of you. It's not only you that irritates the dark powers. They are completely in a panic. They are like bad guys in a scary movie who discover too late that the hero they are trying to murder will not remain dead each time they believe they have won. Stronger, smarter, and even more unstoppable, you rise again. And have faith in me. A chosen one who refuses to remain broken is the biggest source of ire for them. Therefore, if you've ever pondered why life appears to be sending you messages, it's because it is. The trick, however, is this. The conclusion works out well for you, and the narrative is already written. Since the conflict is genuine, let's now dissect everything. They are strategic strikes, and the cause is more extensive than you may imagine. The struggle is biological in nature, not just spiritual. Most people assume that spiritual combat is limited to energy, prayers, and invisible conflicts. The reality, however, is more profound. Your DNA is programmed to fight this conflict. It's not simply your spirit that the evil powers dread. Your genetic code is what they fear. A biological interruption to their well-crafted system. You are a living prophecy. Because of this, their assaults on you did not begin when you developed a spiritual consciousness. Before you were even born, they began. Some lineages possess ancient power. Hunting, manipulation, and targeting have always been part of these lineages. If you are descended from one of them, you have undoubtedly seen how tragedy, misfortune, or curses appear to follow your family around like a shadow. There's no coincidence there. Some families were flagged as dangers long before they realized their own importance, which is why the system in which you live isn't designed only to maintain compliance. Its purpose is to isolate you from your inner self. This explains the intentional chaos, poisons, and diversions that characterize contemporary civilization. There is subliminal programming in the music, movies, and trends. The food is contaminated, and the air is poisoned. For what reason? Because the system would be in danger if you ever fully activated. It has long been known by the Dark Coven that certain individuals had the power to change reality itself. They would stop at nothing to repress you if you were not a danger. Through stress, trauma, and even medical therapies that modify your frequency, they attempt to change your biology. They want you to be physiologically unbalanced, fatigued, and confused because a tired mind is unable to grasp greater information. A strong brain cannot receive clear information from an unsteady heart. Thus, they want you stuck in emotional chaotic cycles. Since they cannot let you to fully utilize the power encoded in your DNA, every strike is calculated. The thing that truly enrages them, however, is this. They cannot take away what is already ingrained in you. All they can do is attempt to stop it, but the activation is unavoidable regardless of what they do. Secondly, they are attempting to tune you for frequency since you are a weapon. You're more than simply a positive vibe. Your energy. It's not simply your knowledge that terrifies the dark powers. They fear what you give off. Your frequency throws off the carefully constructed system. For this reason, they put forth extra effort to throw you off balance. Anything they try to get you to do, distractions, stress, treachery, and fear are all intended to lower your vibration because they are aware of the truth. A selected one who is completely tuned in is an unstoppable force. Consider how much work goes into ensuring that you feel weak, unsure, or alienated. You are constantly exposed to news that incites dread. You are compelled by social mechanisms to go through cycles of stress, hardship, and survival. Whether they are aware of it or not, the individuals who deplete you the most are often your closest friends, family, and partnerships. This is not a random situation. It is a fight of energy. If they can take away your light, they don't have to take your life either. The universe is a frequency-driven system. By just existing, the dark carbon is aware that a selected individual with a high vibration may awaken others, change timelines, and create reality. For this reason, they attempt to overwhelm you with pandemonium. Because a mind full of negativity is incapable of generating strong waves of creativity. They target your emotions because they are amplifiers of frequencies. They may warp the inherent strength you possess if they can keep you feeling heartbroken, angry, or confused. Because of this, whenever you begin to move in the direction of your mission, something attempts to derail you. A sudden crisis, an unforeseen hardship, or a betrayal. When you align, you begin to operate on a wavelength that defies programming, shatters illusions, and destabilizes the same system that keeps people sleeping. So something constantly pops up to dissuade you. What really panics them, however, is this. It becomes more difficult for them to manipulate you the more you comprehend this. Once you understand that your frequency is your weapon, you will no longer fall for their fear tactics. They also lose control of the whole game when you don't respond the way they anticipate. Thirdly, they do not want you dead. They want you to disengage. The adversary just wants them dead, according to most people. But that's not the true objective. When you pass away, your energy is liberated, your goal is redirected, and your impact may even increase. They run the danger of that. What they really want is something far darker. They want you to disengage. They want for you to be lost. Self-doubt. Living your life in doubt and doubting your purpose is a shell of the person you were destined to be. For a strong chosen one who is still alive and fully engaged is one thing, but a deceased chosen one is quite another. That is the biggest horror they have. For this reason, rather than being just physical, many of their strategies are psychological, emotional, and spiritual. They do not have to destroy you if they can keep you doubting your path, caught in unhealthy cycles, and seeking the wrong things. It's up to you to destroy yourself. Relationships will be used to crush your spirit. Financial hardships may wear you out. Betrayal can cause you to shut your heart, and setbacks might make you think that perhaps you were never really unique in the first place. It's not to take you out. It is intended to make you a dormant form of yourself. In initially little ways, they will attempt to force you to make concessions. Don't accept less. Don't trust your gut. Embrace harmful environments as commonplace. You go farther removed from your actual authority with each concession you make. Even if you may not see it, the world around you is spiritual. A dimmer version of yourself has emerged, and that's just what they want. A selected individual who is present in body but not in soul. It's not simply about surviving in the actual conflict. It has to do with consciousness. They will already have triumphed if they can prevent you from seeing the strength inside. However, you become invincible the moment you realize what's going on and you don't allow their diversions to drag you down. They may take a lot of things away from you. However, the fate that bears your name is the one thing they cannot accept. The fourth, just being here is a sort of resistance. Being an issue for the system doesn't need you to be well-known, wealthy, or performing on a stage. The very fact that you are aware of your identity, the situation around you, and the delusion they have constructed is enough to make you a target. The whole control system relies on individuals obeying the rules, falling in line, and never questioning why things are the way they are. However, as soon as you cease complying, the system records you as a disturbance. For selected ones, life seems abnormally challenging because of this. It's not only misfortune or arbitrary challenges. It's resistance by design. Unexpected delays, betrayals, and sabotage begin the instant you quit complying. Chances that ought to have been yours inexplicably disappear. Your once trusted people suddenly turn against you. Things that seem easy to others become 10 times more difficult for you. This isn't a coincidence. When someone refuses to be programmed, the algorithm of control protests. Sleepers are the target of the world. They don't teach truth in schools. Obedience is what they preach. Jobs don't promote self-reliance. They make people dependable. Uplifting is not the purpose of entertainment. It is intended to divert attention. Keeping people too exhausted, too scared, and too disengaged to ever wake up is the goal of everything. But here you are, still awake. Simply because of it, you pose a threat to all they have constructed. The majority of individuals never question anything in their lifetime. They take the stories that are presented to them. They accept the boundaries they are informed exist. The energy changes, however, when a selected one enters a room. Reality bends at the sight of you. You remind them they're sleeping with your energy, which makes them uncomfortable. Just by being in a state of awareness, you can break spells. That's why you encounter resistance everywhere. Your entire existence is an act of disobedience, not because you're doing anything wrong. That the system isn't absolute is shown by you. They press on you so forcefully because of this. For if one may awaken, others may do the same. And they can't afford that one item. 5. You are bound by the same contract as your adversaries. This is a battle without mishaps. The opposition is not launching attacks at random. They have contracts that govern their behavior. These are spiritual contracts. There is more to secret organizations, dark covens, and hidden rulers than simply mayhem. In order to stay committed to their objective, they accept oaths, blood pacts, and generational vows that limit their ability to manipulate, deceive, and fully use their chosen ones. They lose here, however. Your contract was written far earlier than theirs, and you too have won. Before you came into the world, before they were even aware of your name. They were not the only factors that signed, sealed, and guaranteed your fate. They may attempt to impede your progress, slow you down, and confuse you. They are unable to remove already written material, nevertheless. This enrages them since they are aware of it. For this reason, their strategies are based on deceit rather than devastation. Although they can't change your fate, they may attempt to persuade you to ignore it. Because of this, the assaults seem personal. They want you to question yourself, to stop, to lose oneself in the diversions they produce. Every setback, treachery, and disappointment is intended to make you wonder whether you were ever picked in the first place. If they can convince you to disregard it, they won't have to modify your contract. This is what they won't tell you, however. They are borrowing their authority. There aren't many agreements they have. A crumbling system is connected to them, and they disintegrate along with it. You have an indefinite contract. There is no expiration date. Under stress, it doesn't shatter. They may strive to stop it, but the fate that has been predetermined for you will come to pass. Ultimately, they are just postponing the inevitable, but they are free to play their games. Before they had a chance to protest, you were selected. They are desperate because of this. They're scared because of this. Since they themselves are aware that they cannot reverse the legal agreement that has already been made in your favor. 6th, they don't use your energy, they use your stupidity. They have never told a bigger falsehood than that they depend on your energy to stay alive. That's only half the story. Their true food source is your stupidity. They can hold you in a reality as long as you are unsure of who you are and distrust your own abilities. They have power. In addition to stealing energy, they also take perspective. You are not strong at it. They're afraid. You are aware of it. There is no danger in a powerful person who is unaware of their own abilities. Knowing the truth makes a weak person dangerous. That's why they put so much effort into keeping you disengaged, ignorant, and distracted. Their whole system is rendered ineffective against you the instant you realize that you are the creator of your reality. Through deceit, they influence your perception of what is feasible, your beliefs about what is unalterable, and what you accept as true. They instill restrictions on your thinking. Since birth, you're taught what power is, what success should look like, and what's practical. They make up options. You believe that you have free will, but in fact, you are merely choosing from the possibilities that they have provided. Their laws govern your life as long as you accept their interpretation of reality. Therefore, before you have a chance to examine it, the same narratives are pushed by the media, school, religion, and entertainment to mold your view. If they can get you to release your energy voluntarily, they don't need to take it away. But when you cease believing in their delusions, the spell is broken the moment you grasp the reality. Their authority crumbles. They are powerless over you. You were just indoctrinated to believe that they did. Your best weapon is knowledge. They conceal it because of this. For this reason, they make fun of those who look for it. Because once you take back your own thoughts, you're invincible. The seventh number. Your forefathers weren't just dead. It was directed at them. The hardships your family has endured are for a purpose. Unfortunate events, poor decisions, or terrible luck aren't the only causes. It's a targeted conflict. The system is threatened by the knowledge, spiritual might, and divine assignments that certain bloodlines possess. And those lines of blood, they are unable to live their lives without interruption. History did not just take its toll on your forefathers. Many people were purposefully suppressed, persecuted, or even exterminated due to their abilities, tenacity, and intelligence. The enemies dreaded these things. Suppressing helpless individuals is not something that the world actively pursues. It only fights against those who can change reality, end the cycle, and awaken others. If your family has experienced severe hardship, curses passed down through generations, or unexplained catastrophes, it's because they were never intended to be normal. Colonialism and slavery, migrations that are forced, systemic destitution. These have to do with more than simply power and greed. Their goal was to select lineages that have divine energy. A significant number of the souls removed throughout history were not random victims. They were those who could change how things turned out. The fact is that they don't want you to realize that what you can achieve in one incarnation is carried over into the next. It's the reason you're here. Your life is more than simply your own. You are carrying a task that was started long ago. Your difficulties are not unique to you. Keeping you from unlocking what your forefathers were never able to complete is their goal. The barriers, generational curses, and assaults. The opponent knows who you are, which is why they exist. Even if you don't, they lose here. However, you're still present. The lineage endures despite everything. And the reason you're the one waking up, interrupting the cycles, and asking the more profound questions is because you were selected to finish the task they began. Both the power and the conflict did not stop with them. You are the home of it. Number 8. The evil forces have a time limit. You do not. The adversary uses shaky foundations to construct its dominion. Governments change throughout time. Secret societies change with time. Manipulative systems malfunction. Every dark structure, no matter how strong it seems at the time, has a limit. What's the issue? They are aware of this, and they are in a panic precisely for that reason. However, the selected ones do not function on the same precarious schedule. Something timeless is the foundation of their potency. It doesn't rely on organizations, funds, or manipulation techniques. Something that time itself cannot remove is woven into the very fabric of existence. This is the reason why evil has made repeated attempts throughout history to eradicate certain communities, stifle particular knowledge, and destroy the spiritual force that poses a danger to their authority. However, the opponent is always desperate when the power returns. The one universal rule they dread most is unavoidable, despite their centuries-long efforts to create a world in which they maintain power. Deception is a short-lived foundation. Therefore, They strive to control minds at an excessive degree, create more diversions, and push harder and for tougher laws. They have a limited amount of time. They are aware of their waning power. Furthermore, once it's gone, it won't return. As a chosen one, this explains why you experience the resistance so strongly. There is no lack of faith in the opposition's onslaught. Their attacks are motivated by fear. They are aware of the change taking place. They are aware of their deteriorating control. Most importantly, they are aware that they cannot stop it. Understanding that you are not a transient person is the riskiest thing you can do. When you realize that you are a part of something eternal, indestructible, and beyond of their grasp, they can no longer hold you. They're losing their system. Time is not on their side, and the inevitable is already happening, no matter how much they try to resist. The ninth is that the system is not necessary. You're needed by the system. The governments, businesses, financial institutions, and media rely on you for everything they have constructed. They have persuaded you that you must have them in order to thrive for ages. However, they really depend on you to maintain their delusion. The system wasn't designed to keep you alive. It was intended to drain your vitality, your effort, and your inventiveness. Without your involvement, it breaks down, since that's what keeps it going. You are powerless without them is the worst lie ever perpetrated. That it would be impossible to succeed without a job, a salary, or their approval. But have a look around. The cities are built by whom? The music is written by whom? Who is the technology's inventor? Who contributes ideas, creativity, and culture? It's not them. You are it. Ones that have been selected. The world is kept going by creatives, visionaries, and free thinkers. The system is not a creator. It just takes advantage of people. That's the reason they strive so hard to keep you reliant. So you don't learn to raise your own food. They control it. Because of their stranglehold over education, you never reach your full potential. They have control over your finances, so you remain in survival mode and are too preoccupied to escape. They create shortages and financial crises. These things exist because they want you to think they are, not because they are. When you understand that you are in control, their delusion breaks. Stop supplying them with food if enough of you leave. If you don't stop letting them drain your energy, the whole superstructure will collapse. For this reason, they mostly target the selected ones. When you finally unplug, others will follow. And their power ends when enough people cease to believe in their deceptive reality. You didn't ever rely on them. You were their constant source of support. And the moment you take action based on that reality, you disrupt their system, simply by ceasing to play their game, not via demonstrations or violence. They attack you early because they fear you later, which is number 10. The assaults didn't begin until you realized. They began long before you had a clear identity. The anguish, the hardships, the suffering, the betrayals. It was not all random. Because the evil forces saw your potential before you did, they have been keeping an eye on you from the start. They attack you before you're completely energized. It would already be too late. They attempt to cripple you early instead. Give it some thought. Why do selected ones generally have a tough upbringing? Extreme loneliness, toxic familial settings, or early betrayals? For if they can injure you when you're young, they may force you to question yourself before you ever assume your own authority. To separate you from your own self, they use physical hardship, mental suffering, and even desertion as weapons. You can't realize that you were created with divine strength if they can make you feel unwanted, worthless, or helpless. They act in this way out of dread for what you could become into. They are aware that stopping a chosen one who has been awakened is almost impossible. The toughest trials are so often faced early in life by the strongest individuals. They want you to become an uneasy, reluctant, or lost adult if they can traumatize you while you're still young. Because the most significant danger to their system is a selected individual who is fully aware of their identity. But here is where they fall short. Despite everything you didn't break, you're still here. Even though you were hurt, you were never vanquished. Now that you're aware of the reality, the suffering, the assaults, and the challenges, things begin to make sense. They were worried about what you may turn into. It's too late for them now, therefore they were right to be. Once a chosen one completely assumes their power, there is nothing they can do to stop the same thing they attempted to stop you from waking. Number 11. Love is a weapon they use against you. The opponent is aware that the strongest force in the universe is love. Because of this, relationships are the greatest battlefield for chosen ones. The evil powers don't just target you via outward conflicts. They want your heart, because they have complete power over your energy flow if they can influence who you love, who you trust, and who you become attached to. This is the reason why so many chosen ones went through heartbreaking heartache, poisonous relationships, and betrayals. It goes beyond simple misfortune or individual error. It's a plan. They send emotionally unavailable companions, karmic ties, and fake soulmates to squander your time and deplete your soul. You normalize dysfunction because they instill poisonous family dynamics and deceptive connections in you from a young age. They are aware that you will be too exhausted or preoccupied to take charge of your life if they can keep you emotionally involved with the wrong individuals. The more subtle ruse is that they want to skew your understanding of love. They want you to think that love is the same as suffering. Betrayal is the result of trust. Suffering is the inevitable outcome of the profound relationships. They can isolate you if they are able to make you feel adored. They have the capacity to cause you to shut your heart and turn away from the same force that would strengthen you and a selected one who is deprived of love. Genuine love. Divine affection. It's easy to regulate self-love. Your previous relationships may have seemed more like lessons than joys because of this. It wasn't only heartbreak you were going through. They were targeting you. The purpose of every traumatic relationship was to get you to lose confidence in love. They lose here, however. You're still capable of love. You are still capable of healing, connecting, and trusting. Additionally, you cease falling for the game once you realize what it is. The frequency of true love is beyond their reach. You become unstoppable as soon as you escape harmful patterns and unite with the appropriate people. Because they cannot control a chosen one who loves the proper people, their goal, and themselves. And their biggest worry is that. 12. Your talents were meant to work against you. The purpose of your talents was never to help you. From your birth, they were destined to serve them. In order to find any indications of power, the dark forces have been observing you. Do you have a great sense of intuition? Could you see beyond illusions? Do you have an innate capacity for creation, leadership, or healing? Your talents were not intended to be free. So if that's the case, you were a target before you ever realized who you were. They were designed to be used, controlled, or eliminated. Power doesn't scare the system. It's afraid of unbridled power. Because of this, even the most talented people endure mental anguish, addiction, despair, or self-doubt. It is spiritual warfare as well as personal. If they are unable to persuade you to utilize your talents for their own ends, they will attempt to turn you against yourself. They will cause you to doubt your own judgment, engage in damaging behaviors, or believe that your talents are a burden rather than a gift. Take a look at history. How many exceptional leaders, prophets, artists, and inventors were removed before they could reach their full potential? That was no coincidence. The enemy recognized that an awakened, empowered, chosen one is a force they cannot control, so they corrupted or destroyed many of them. The most spiritually talented people so often suffer the most. Their talents are at odds. Recruitment is usually the first strategy used by the opponent. They will stop at nothing to convince you to utilize your abilities in a way that suits them, including money, influence, and power. Stop the betrayals, the self-doubt, and the loneliness if you reject the assaults. They prefer to see you broken if they can't utilize you. What they are most afraid of, however, is you realizing the truth. Their hold on you is broken once you realize that your abilities were intended to further a greater purpose rather than their system. They fight so hard because they know that once you're completely activated, you're unstoppable, and they never wanted that. 13. It's your solitude, not the multitude, that gives you strength. Through the system, the world has been persuaded that visibility, connections, and crowds are the sources of power. However, the true power for the selected is in one's solitude, not in fame, influence, or networking, but rather in the times when one is totally alone, cut off from the outside world, and perfectly attuned to the divine. Give it some thought. Every significant historical turning point, every revolution, every great awakening, there wasn't a crowd at first. It began when a single person gained information that no one else had. Christ, Moses, Buddha, the prophets, and the visionaries. Each of them experienced intense seclusion before to assuming their positions of authority. For what reason? Because it is the location of heavenly guidance. Since your solitude is the one area the evil forces can't enter, they are afraid of you. They have authority over various religious organizations as well as the media and the educational system. Direct heavenly downloads, however, are beyond their control. When you are by yourself and away from distractions, your spiritual power becomes stronger, your mission becomes clear, and your intuition becomes sharper. Since they are unable to stop it, they put in extra effort to keep you preoccupied, agitated, and reliant on others. This explains why betrayals, unexpected losses, or a sense of alienation cause forced loneliness for so many chosen ones. It's preparation rather than punishment. They're dragging you away from the cacophony so you can hear the truth. You can't be tricked once you've gained heavenly knowledge. They want you to think that being abandoned is a sign that you are weak and in need of their approval, their systems, and their validation. In actuality, however, seclusion is where you regain control. This is the point at which you escape their programming, and they cannot stop you once you come out of it completely awake and full of energy. They dread you're alone because they understand that's where the true change takes place. 14th, you were sent to timeline collapse. The system is not arbitrary. It is fueled by cycles, wars, economic downturns, political disputes, and spiritual repression. These events are not random. They are made. The adversary keeps people stuck in recurring cycles of fear, control, and restriction by using predictable timescales. However, there is you. To see these cycles, the selected ones are not present. To shatter them is their purpose. You are interfering with time. The very script is disrupted by your presence. As soon as you enter your full consciousness, individuals around you begin to change, and generations-old patterns start to shatter. Because the system detects this disruption, chosen ones encounter tremendous opposition because your energy alone has the power to bring down whole timelines that were never intended to exist. Because of this, history continues repeating itself unless someone steps in and makes an intervention. You may speed up the actual timeline, the divine one, when you step into your divine destiny. The adversary requires these fake cycles to continue. You constantly feel ahead of your time because of this, like you're the first to notice stuff. It's as like you were brought here with a sense of urgency that everyone else doesn't get. This is where it goes even farther. However, you have already done this. This mission is not your first. This explains why you oppose the system and why you see patterns so easily. This is, of course, the reason you can feel the changes before they occur. It's because your soul has performed this function across many incarnations. In order to restore contaminated realities, you were brought here. That's why they're afraid of you, as they are unable to stop what you were sent to perform. The illusion only persists as long as no one challenges it. When a selected one activates, it starts to fall apart. You were sent to collapse the chronology that they had prepared. And you will, no matter what they do. The opposition, assaults, treachery, and loneliness you encountered were never arbitrary. It had a purpose. The evil forces have been putting in a lot of effort to distract you, break you, and prevent you from understanding your identity and purpose in life. Your potential was recognized by them long before you did. They realized that their whole system would fall apart if you ever fully used your power. But this is what they didn't account for. You were designed to do this. Each setback just strengthened you. Your perception was sharpened by every treachery, and your soul was honed by every assault. You've just become more active thanks to the exact things they used to attempt to kill you. You're not only here to live. Disrupting, dismantling, and changing the path of reality itself is your mission. You were sent to interrupt the cycles. They rely on the fact that you were never intended to be subjugated by their system and that you may awaken others just by being yourself. For this reason, they attempted to taint your talents, undermine your connections, and get you to question your own value, since they were aware that you couldn't be stopped once you discovered the truth. However, it's too late for them now. You've seen through the delusion that the change was taking place. In your heart, you know that the game is coming to a finish and not in their favor. The outdated time frames are disintegrating. They are revealing the hidden objectives, and the ones who were selected are getting up. You may wonder why you have always felt different, why you have encountered so much resistance, or why your road has been so challenging. Don't forget that you weren't brought here to blend in. This is where you were sent to make a difference. And you will, no matter what they do. If this message struck a chord with you, and you had a profound sense of confirmation in your soul, you are already aware that you are a member of this movement. This is just the first step. Like this video, don't keep this information to yourself. Leave a remark and forward it to a person who should hear it. In a world founded on lies, your participation is more than simply support. It's how we disseminate the truth. Since we're just getting started, please click the subscribe button and enable alerts if you haven't already. More power, more truth, and more disclosures are on the horizon. Hold on to your strength. Keep yourself awake. And never forget that there's a reason you were sent here. Let's work together to disturb the system.